Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we talk about healthy home routines for spring. This recording is part of Habitat Chicago's Home Care Workshop series. And today we'll be talking about some of those springtime routines that you can do to improve the health, comfort, and safety of your home this season. With that said, let's start off with a couple of introductions. My name is Abigail, and I'm an AmeriCorps member working on the programs team at Habitat for Humanity Chicago. I would also like to introduce our instructor for the day, Ron Gostek, who also came to Habitat Chicago as an AmeriCorps. He spent a year with us, working on the build site, tirelessly dedicating his time and energy to promote the Habitat mission. He liked it so much that after his term was done, he couldn't stay away and began volunteering with us as an instructor for our home care workshops to continue sharing his knowledge and passions with us. So thank you, Ron, for being here with us today.
Thank you, Abigail.
And before I pass the torch on to Ron for the presentation, I just want to highlight some of Habitat Chicago's other programs that work toward our vision of a world where everyone has a decent place to live. You might know us for our affordable home ownership program, in which families and individuals partner with us and purchase new homes with affordable mortgages. These home buyers participate in education classes and complete volunteer hours where they work alongside their neighbors, our construction team, and volunteers to build their houses from the ground up. We also have a program called Homebuyer University, which is open to the public and is a series of 4 educational classes that are designed to prepare students to successfully enter the home buying process. The classes are taught by various experts in the financial and real estate fields, and they cover topics that include financial planning, building credit, and some of the other legal and financial responsibilities of home ownership. Then we have our Neighborhood Grants Initiative, which provides small grants to residents within our focus neighborhoods of West Pullman and Greater Grand Crossing. These small grants can be used to fund both physical projects like murals and community garden initiatives, and social projects like block clubs and resource fairs. The Neighborhood Action Talks are a series of workshops that take place in conjunction with the Neighborhood Grants Initiative, with 3 workshops taking place each year that correspond with the grant project periods. Then we have the Home Care Workshop series, which provides free monthly workshops on rotating topics related to home maintenance and improvement. They are typically hosted in person in West Pullman, Greater Grand Crossing, and at our Habitat Chicago Restore. However, this quarter, we have modified the format of our presentation in response to COVID-19 and the statewide stay-at-home order. So, thank you for joining us virtually for this presentation as we talk about springtime home inspections and checks that you can conduct both indoors and outdoors to keep your living spaces happy and healthy this spring. We'll touch on some of the energy efficiency opportunities that come along with this, as well as some of the resources that may be of use to you as you go through your own home improvement projects. And with that being said, I will pass it over to Ron for the presentation.
Thank you, Abigail. What are the benefits of seasonal maintenance around your home? To build on what Abigail has said, it makes for a healthy and safe atmosphere. It'll help preserve and improve your home and property values. Ensure that everything in your house is completely functional and working as designed. It'll increase your comfort, enhance the aesthetic value of your home, and give you opportunities for energy efficiency so you can save money along the way. We begin with the outdoor inspection. Spring is here and it's time to get outside to take stock of the past winter's toll on your house. It's wise to do a complete walk-around inspection, taking note of the foundation and the walls, windows, roof, eaves, and gutters. First, you start with looking at the foundation and the walls. You want to look for cracks, chipped paint, small holes, and any gaps along the foundation and the walls. If your home has gotten to the point like the one there in the lower right of the slide, you're going to need to call in the professionals. Significant cracks and gaps are indication of settling due to too much water in the freeze-thaw cycle, and you'll need to get those professionals in to address the foundation issues, which might include excavation around the house to install French drains, some concrete repair, and floor jacking. These costs can range from $20 to $30 a linear foot for the French drain along the foundation, and to significant dollars for raising those floor joists. And you'll want to get somebody who knows what they're doing to raise those floor joists if needed. If you try to do it by yourself, you may end up causing more damage, costing you more money in the long run. But what can you do in the interim while you're waiting to have those major repair done? So what you can do before undertaking them is to do some simple things to prevent further damage if those cracks, gaps, and holes are present. Caulking and repairing these areas will not only keep water up, but vectors, that is, insects and animals, will be kept out of your house as well. The next stop is to look at the roof, and you'll want to look around to see if you have any loose or missing bowed or buckled shingles. It's important to ensure that all shingles are in place and in good shape to keep moisture from entering your house. Also, you'll want to look at the eaves, gutters, and downspouts. And around the eaves, as you can see in this diagram, there are two important areas to focus on, and that's the soffit and fascia. These need to be repaired or replaced if you notice peeling, flaking, paint, rot, or sagging pieces. They are designed to expedite the flow of air through the attic and also to keep insects and the critters out. For simple repairs, you can do this yourself. And there are many products out there, and you want to treat the area with a wood hardener, then fill it in and build it up with a wood filler, and then sand down and prep for painting. You can do the same for your siding when you see holes in there as well. Minwax has some great products for that and doesn't require mixing. But you'll want to have a sander on hand because you'll need to do a lot of sanding to get smoothed out before you can prep and paint. Professionals can be called in, and for small spot jobs, they will charge anywhere from $240 to $500. If you're going to do it yourself, let's review a little bit of ladder safety. The first thing you do is inspect the ladder, make sure it's in good condition and there are no broken rungs or cracks. When you set the ladder up, you want to make sure the top extends 3 feet above the gutter area, and that there's a 4-to-1 angle at the base. That means for every 4 feet of rise, you want 1 foot away from the wall for the proper angle. If you can, tie the ladder off the top. And while you're going up and down the ladder, you want to maintain 3 points of contact. That is 1 hand or 2 feet, or 2 hands and 1 feet on the rungs at all times. Secure the ladder at the bottom if you can as well. Never carry the materials on the ladder. It's good to have an assistant to help you whenever you're on the ladder, but if you can't find the assistant, you can use a rope to call the materials up to you. And again, around those eaves, if the damage is starting to get a little too extensive, additional carpentry skills are going to be required. You'll want to call in the experts for this type of repair as demonstrated, as shown in these photographs in this slide. There's going to be a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of moving parts to get those things up to working properly. And again, it's important to keep those eave systems in good shape because you want to keep out any little buddies that may want to make a home of it. Next, you want to take a look at your gutter system. It's important to keep gutters free and clear of debris. They're designed to carry water away from your house. If they're blocked, water can back up under the shingles, causing rot, which leads to interior ceiling and wall damage, mold, and mildew. It's especially troublesome in the winter as the water freezes, causing ice dams, which cause more water to back up and freeze. And then with the freeze-thaw cycle, shingles become damaged and there's increased probability of water leaking into and damaging the interior of your house. If you're going to clean your gutters, there's several options you can choose. One is old school. Simply get up there on your ladder and use a hand and a hose. But there are options that'll keep you on the ground. There are many extensions and wands available at stores and rental areas to hook up to your hose or to hook up to a blower or to your wet dry vacuum that you can reverse the hose on to blow out the leaves and debris. And finally, you can always opt to call someone to do the job. Once you're done cleaning the gutters, give some serious thought to installing gutter guards. This is a low-cost item compared to the damage that can be caused if you allow the gutters to become blocked and water backs up in your house. If you do it yourself, you can count on spending $100 to $200 for the typical sized house, and a professional can start at around $1,000 upwards to $2,500 and beyond. An installation should take about 1 to 3 hours. And if you're going to opt to do it yourself, make sure you look for the right gutter guard. As shown in the slide, you'll want one that has a strong grid pattern with a micro mesh on top. This allows water to flow into the gutters and drain away from the house through the downspout, while at the same time keeping the heavier stuff out, leaves and debris, out of your system. Avoid using the foam inserts and the brush type inserts. The sun beats down on them and dries them out, and they'll end up just becoming trapped and clogged with more leaves and debris, making your job even harder to get that stuff out and clean the next season. Once you're done with the house, take a walk around the property, the front and backyards. You'll want to clean up any leaves and debris that have blown into and around everything during the winter. And it's a good time to trim back perennials if you haven't done so in the fall, and to prune trees and bushes so they don't become overgrown. You'll also want to repair and reseed lawn areas that were damaged by snow, ice, salt. You can do this by aerating the soil, by raking it. You'll also dethatch some of the dead and dried out grass. You want to add lime to counter the effects of any salt, and then you're ready to seed. It's a great workout to do all of the above. Most lawn services can also do this for about $100. They always try to get their foot in the door in the spring, and you can get some great deals. But I prefer to do it myself, as it gets me out there and ready for the season. Also, if you're going to lay down mulch, which I suggest you do if you have garden beds, it'll help keep the weeds down, and it'll improve the moisture retention for your plants. Make sure you use cypress or cedar mulch. Typical hardwood mulch will attract termites. You don't want those guys around after they've done infiltrating the mulch, because they'll be coming to look for all the wood in your home, causing extensive damage. Also, take a look at your fence. If you have a steel or metal fence, it's not going to have gotten much damage over the winter, but wood fences, depending on if they've settled and if water's accumulated or if any ice has gotten in there and expanded, some of the posts and slats could be cracked. Instead of spending upwards of $200 to $300 to replace posts and complete concrete footings, there's a new product out there that you slip in between the post and the concrete footing by pounding it into place. It costs about $7 to $15 per metal stake. It takes about 30 minutes to install per the instructions. This is a quick fix, and the fence ends up being as strong as originally installed. Some other things to consider for your outside for gardening and lawn care are to install a rain barrel underneath your downspout and compost barrels for your kitchen wastes. It'll help save you money. It'll provide you with organic water and fertilizer to keep your lawn and garden growing as best as you can. Now it's time for the annual rite of spring cleaning. We have provided a detailed checklist of items to clean in the resources section. However, we're only going to cover some of the key inspection items in this presentation. Gather the following supplies and tools: a pair of good rubberized gloves, a couple of screwdrivers, both Phillips and flat, some wrenches, pliers, a long handled brush, as shown there in the slide, a wet dry vacuum, and then buckets, sponges, and rags. You're also going to need some home cleaning supplies. We recommend traditional cleaning products as they tend to be the least expensive and most effective. Vinegar is a natural disinfectant, as well as a good solvent to help clear through some of the baked on grease you're going to encounter. Baking soda does the same and is an effective odor neutralizer, and when combined with salt, makes an excellent scrubbing paste. Ammonia and borax, we'll cover their use later in the presentation. And finally, one of the best things you can keep in your house is Castile soap. Making a cleaning solution and using it as a base will save you money and help you get the job done nicely. Instructions are available on the websites provided in the resources section. Inside the house, as mentioned, we provide a checklist, and we're going to go through these several rooms with some of the key things to inspect as well as clean. In the kitchen, you're going to take time to address everything that has been covered or out of sight over the winter months. In addition to the dust, dirt, and grime that's built up, you want to inspect for any critters that may have moved in and established residency here in your home over the winter. They tend to prefer private, warm areas, and behind the refrigerator and stove are some of the favorite hangouts. You're going to want to take the time to clean out the cabinets and do an inspection in there as well. It'll give you an opportunity to empty containers of outdated items and recycle the containers, as well as look for those vectors that may have gone searching for food in between journeys to their home behind the stove and refrigerator as mentioned. It's also a good time to deodorize the garbage disposal. You can do this easily by pouring about a half a cup of vinegar into the drain, letting it sit for about 15 minutes, then flushing with hot water, and then adding about a quarter cup of baking soda and let it sit until the next time you use the sink. Check behind the oven as well for the same vectors and do a thorough cleaning there. And you'll also want to clean the inside of the oven. We use our ovens more in the fall and winter, so now is a good time to clean up that mess. Instead of using commercial oven cleaners that emit toxic, harmful fumes, or using the self-cleaning feature on many items that creates a lot of odor that will permeate your home for weeks, use a baking soda and water paste to attack the mess. Brush it on and let it sit overnight. And the next day, spritz it with vinegar and water. If you need to scrub some more, put some salt on a sponge, scrub the area, and wipe it down. You'll be surprised at how effective this cleaning is with very little fumes and none of the noxious problems that you'll encounter with the oven cleaners that are available. Clean the fridge coils and drip pan as well. The drip pan is going to be at the bottom of the fridge and may be accessible through the front, where you'll need to snap off the front cover, or it may be behind and you can slide out the tray. Dump any liquids and clean that out with one of the products we mentioned and replace. You're going to want to make sure your coils are cleaned as well. Typically, the newer refrigerators are completely sealed. However, if coils are exposed, they can attract a lot of dust. Take the time to remove that guard and vacuum off the coils and the compressor so that they operate efficiently. Next, head into the bathroom. It's a great time to wash the shower curtain. Add a little borax to the wash to kill the mold and mildew. Also deodorize the drains the same as you did in the kitchen, and take the time to empty your cabinets of all the old medicines and unused products. Be sure to dispose of those old medicines properly. One key thing to do in the bedroom, which you might not give much thought to, is to rotate the mattress and flip it. This will ensure you get up on the right side of the bed. It will also extend the life of your mattress and ensure that you continue to get a good night's sleep. You'll need a partner to help you with this task, as most mattresses are quite heavy. When you're done with the inspection and cleanup of your rooms, it's wise to take a look at your fixtures and appliances. Those consist of the washing machine, the dryer, your furnace, the hot water heater, and sump pumps if you have a drainage system. Spring and fall are both great times for a dry or deep clean. It's very important that you do this to ensure carbon monoxide is properly exhausted if you have a gas furnace, and to prevent fires, whether you have a gas or electric dryer. First thing you do is to unplug the dryer. Then you're going to want to remove the lint trap and brush around inside and vacuum that lint trap. The next thing is to pull the dryer away from the wall, as shown in that middle diagram, and remove the vent hose from the back of the dryer. A lot of lint accumulates in that vent hose. This is very important to get in there and brush it out and vacuum out. When you go to reinstall the vent hose, make sure that you have a solid right angle connection to the bottom of the dryer. If you use the thin flexible vent hose, it could kink and your vent hose will not work properly. Try to avoid those cheaper thin plastic and aluminum vent hoses and opt for the semi-rigid or the rigid ductwork to make this connection. The last thing you want to do is to go outside and check that exterior vent. As you can see in the photograph, a lot of lint will accumulate there over the season, and that needs to be cleaned out so the dryer vents appropriately. Next, check the washer. Make sure all the hose connections are tight and tighten them if necessary. Check the gasket. That's that rubber seal between the interior of the washer and the exterior, right underneath the lid or behind the lid. Typically, over the winter, a lot of mold and mildew will build up in that due to the moisture. Again, 1 cup of borax to 1 gallon of water will do a great job of cleaning that area and killing any mold and mildew that is present. Your furnace has been working hard all winter. You want to make sure there are no gas leaks. And if you do notice any smell of gas, call 911 immediately. They will give you the directions and send someone over to address it. One aspect you can do is to use your fan-only feature in the spring and summer months to help circulate air through your house. But you're going to want to make sure that your filter is clean so that you're having nice fresh air being distributed through the house. The filter size is located on the side of each of the filters, and the arrow indicates the direction of flow. Make sure that the filter is inserted in the proper direction so that you get the maximum filtration. It's also wise to put a sticker on the furnace or to write it right on the top of that filter. Include the date and the utility supplier and phone number in case you may need a service call in the future. One big item that people often overlook is the hot water heater. Check for any leaks and tighten fittings if needed all along the upper structure of that hot water heater. And if you hear bubbling and gurgling when it's heating water, chances are it needs a good draining flushing. It will increase the lifespan and efficiency of your hot water heater. But if you haven't done it for a while, it takes several hours to drain all that hot water. And accumulated sediment in the bottom will make it a very messy job for you. It will require you to back flush the unit quite often to drain that sediment. Most plumbing services will perform this task for under $100 because they have the pumps and the know-how to do it quickly and efficiently, saving you a lot of time and aggravation. If you have a drainage system in your basement, check the sump pumps. Ensure that they are working by lifting up on the floats. They should kick on immediately and start pumping water through the drainage system. Now's a good time also to get down there in the basement and do an inspection. You're going to want to look for moisture, mold, and mildew because there are serious health implications, and if you let it go too long, it will cause some structural problems. Spring brings a lot of moisture, so if you're going to try to clean this up yourself, it's a good idea to wear personal protective equipment. A Tyvek suit and N95 respirator, both available at big box stores or hardware stores, is recommended, as mold and mildew tend to disperse when you attack it with a brush or rag, and you don't want those spores getting on your clothes so that you can drag them to other places in your house. Again, use a borax 1 cup, 1 gallon water solution to clean, as it will also kill the mold and mildew. It's much more effective than bleach. Wet the surface and let it stay on for several minutes, and make sure it stays moist during that whole time. For bigger jobs, I would suggest you call in the pros. They'll set up proper ventilation, they'll enclose the area with plastic drapes, and make sure that they keep it from spreading all over your house. The key to mold and mildew is long-term moisture control, and ventilation is what is needed. A portable dehumidifier is the ticket, but if you don't have the resources to get one at this moment, a box fan or a simple window fan or open windows can do wonders to help get air moving through your basement and helping that water and moisture to evaporate to prevent mold and mildew growth. Again, you need to inspect for vectors as well. If you have an old house, chances are rodents, roaches, ants, bugs will find their way in over the winter. You might not see them, but they'll leave clues as to where they've been hiding and hanging out. Look for cracks, gaps, and openings and along the base of the wall where it meets the floor, and see if they've left any droppings or other evidence. If you see piles of sawdust, it could be termites. And I would strongly suggest you call in the exterminators before that gets going too long, as they will do some terrible structural damage to your home. The best thing to do is to clean up with ammonia. 1 cup of ammonia to 1 gallon of water solution will not only do the job of cleaning up, it will repel rodents from coming back into the house. They can't stand the smell of ammonia. Properly ventilate the area when you're doing the cleaning. Also, you want to make sure that if If you have any garbage, it's kept in tightly closed bins so you're not giving them a food source. And to plug any holes and entry points that you found along the way. Another thing you can do is lay down fabric softener sheets, scented fabric softener sheets, that is, as rodents do not like strong odors and will avoid these areas as well. A borax and sugar mixture, a 3-to-1 ratio, is an effective natural poison for any ants or roaches that may have found their way in as well. Finally, you can set down traps, and they range all the way from the old Victor spring traps to glue strips and the fancy walk the plank and bucket systems that are available. If you have a really big infestation, it's good to call the experts and they'll address it in a holistic fashion. Last but not least, you want to make sure you do a home safety inspection. And you can do that by testing all your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide monitors to make sure they're working. Ensure that all flashlights have fresh batteries, as nothing is more frustrating than needing light when the power is out and then having to remember where you put the batteries and looking for them in the dark as well. Take the time to inspect all electrical cords on lamps, televisions, stereos, and other electrical equipment, and replace them immediately, as you'll want to avoid using any equipment that is damaged because it could cause a fire. And finally, check all your fire extinguishers to make sure they're properly charged. If you have a garage, remember over the winter, the wind has blown all sorts of stuff into that garage, and the tires have dragged in ice, salt, dirt, and whatever else was on the road. Perform the same check inspection as you did for your house. If you're feeling really energetic, pull everything out of the garage and do a complete purge. Donate what you have used or recycle. Declutter wherever you can. A good idea is to get everything off the ground, and if you can, do that permanently. I do my best to keep everything off the ground permanently so that all I have to do once a season is sweep it out and then use the garden hose to give a thorough flushing. Finally, while you're doing all this, give some thought to repairing and replacing any caulk around windows, doors, and exterior walls. This will help save heating costs next season. You'll also want to service your entire HVAC system, making sure, as mentioned, to replace your filters so that you boost the efficiency and lifespan of the system. As mentioned, flushing your hot water heater boosts its efficiency and will increase the lifespan of that appliance as well. And finally, consider installing rain and compost barrels as mentioned. And with that, I'll turn you back over to Abigail to discuss what resources we've provided for you.
Thank you, Ron. That was a fantastic presentation full of so much helpful information. And I just want to close it out today with some of the resources that are available to you as you work through some of your own home improvement projects this spring. First of all, I want to highlight the Habitat Restores. Both Habitat Chicago and Habitat Chicago South Suburbs have restores in the Chicago area. These stores sell new and gently used home improvement goods, including building materials, tools, garden supplies, and fixtures such as windows and doors, all at discounted prices. There's also Neighborhood Housing Services, which is an organization in Chicago that offers low-interest, fixed-rate home improvement loans that provide homeowners with accessible funding sources for their home improvement projects. Another organization in Chicago is called HOME, Housing Opportunities and Maintenance for the Elderly. This organization has a home upkeep and repair program which connects seniors with home repair specialists that can perform repairs to help ensure safe and healthy living spaces. Last of all, I want to point out that home improvement stores around the area are a great resource for materials as well as advice for your upcoming project. For more information about these resources, as well as others, and the checklists that we've mentioned throughout this presentation, you can visit our website and the Home Care Workshop Series program page at habitatchicago.org. That's habitatchicago.org, which can also be accessed by visiting the link listed on the screen. Again, for the resources we've mentioned, as well as the checklists, please visit this link here on the screen. Thank you for joining us today, and we wish you all the best in your healthy home routines this spring.